gorilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animals gather right.
Hello everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Chicken Coop build series. We're getting down now to the finer touches and finishing details, and we're going to continue that today by building some window shutters as well as the main door and the chicken exit door on the other side there. So instead of just putting the plywood on there with a set of hinges and calling it done, remember I'm building this to be relatively comfortable in the winter time as well, because I want my chickens to be able to stay in this winter long and survive without any issue. So on top of getting a robust breed of chicken ordered, which I do, we got the red sex link and leghorns coming. Those are supposed to be pretty robust and fairly easy for a beginner, according to the Farmers Co-op. So on top of getting more robust birds, I want to have a robust chicken coop. So windows and doors are going to be probably one of the weak points as far as air entry and cold entry into the coop. And I want to have the option of opening it up in the warm months and shutting it in the winter time. And I could even open it on a warm winter's day if we get one, which we usually do, but winters have been evolving lately, so you never know. But you want that option, okay? And for that reason, just putting a sheet of plywood there is not really enough to call it done. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a 2x4 framework, which when you put down the window, that 2x4 framework will slide into the window socket. And then I'm going to have that framework insulated with some rigid foam board. And I'm hoping that by doing that, it'll kind of plug up that entryway for the cold and wind and provide that extra insulation to hold heat into the coop during those cold months when I keep those shutters closed. So what we're going to do, we'll take the plywood inserts that we cut out of there, and when we initially cut those out, I traced it from the inside, and then after the fact I put a 1/2 inch circumference around those markings. So my original tracing markings are still on those plywood pieces. So I'm going to be lining up my 2x4 with my old tracings so that they do fit in that slot. But on top of that, since it's going to be coming down at an angle, there's a high chance of that 2x4 framework bringing up in the window ledge, right? Because it'll be fit to kind of go straight in, but when you're coming down on an angle, it can easily rub and bring up solid. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to use the table saw. I'm going to put some beveled edges on the aspect that's going to be going into the chicken coop first. And by doing that, hopefully it'll give me kind of a gradient that will slide in, and then when the window is fully shut, the last bit will be the full width of the window. So that's my plan, that's my hope, that's my goal. We'll see how close we get to achieving that. So I'm going to start with the windows. We'll see how that plan of attack works out, adjust as necessary, but I think it's a good plan, and hopefully it will work. So before I even said all that, I could have probably pointed out the coveralls are back on. Alright, we're ready for woodworking today finally. After all the music montages of painting and everything else, I hope you guys don't mind. But we've had so much wind here lately, it's been literally impossible to do any talking on filming anything outdoors. And I don't have a microphone that's really capable of blocking out that much wind. I don't even think a professional mic with a dead cat on it can really match up to the amount of wind we've been getting lately. So it's had to boil down to musical montages, and like I said, I hope you guys don't mind. I think the video still came out good. I don't mind watching them myself, so hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. But they're there for you to watch as well if you go back in the channel, and I hope you enjoy that content. So the coveralls are on, and the Gorilla Glue is out. Alright, we're going to be caking this baby in more glue. My son likes to call it Donkey Kong glue. Alright, and for those who play the Donkey Kong games, you can kind of see why. Alright, so he really enjoys coming out and asking about the Donkey Kong glue. So maybe that'll catch on. Anyways, with that said, I'm going to switch you guys around. We're going to strip down some 2x4s, start doing some measurements, and start working on those 2x4 frameworks to go on the plywood for the windows, and we'll see how it works out. Alright, wish me luck, and here we go. Let's see what happens. First and foremost, I'm going to get the table saw set up. And I'm thinking I'm not going to do a 45-degree angle on the 2x4. That's way too aggressive. I just want a gentle bevel that's going to fit into the window frame as it's being closed. So when it comes to the nesting box, we used a lot of 30-degree angles there, and I found a 30-degree angle was actually really nice looking, and I think it's a good trade-off down from the 45. So we'll set it at 30. Alright, and we'll bring our blade up and have a look at what that angle appears like against a 2x4. So with a 30-degree angle set, and looking at the board, you know, I wouldn't cut it exactly this way, but it's still a pretty aggressive angle, don't you think? That's going to take away a lot of wood that doesn't really need to go away, and I think we'll probably back it off to 20 degrees and see how that goes. Now with the saw set at 20 degrees, and I put my rail pretty much where I want this to be in making this cut. So now you see if I'm passing the board, we're going to leave a little bit of a surface that's unbeveled, and you'll see the reason for that in a little bit. And you see the 20-degree bevel starts, you know, almost midway through the board. We can actually make it for sure start midway through the board. Come over a little smidge. Alright, and that should take away a nice little bevel up as far as here and give us that 20-degree in on the wood. And I think that's going to give us the bevel we need. So yeah, we'll stick with 20 degrees. I'm going to lock all this down in place, and that's ready to rip. And I'll probably do this piece of wood here just as a test piece before I really get into it. So as you can see here, we got this nice little bevel going down about half the width of it here, or the depth of it, or whatever you want to call it. And we took away about half right there. So now if you can imagine this being 4 sides of a frame with this bevel going into the window first, this should work out quite well. So I'll actually use this piece as well, because the windows aren't that big. And I'll try and make it a little bit prettier as well. We'll probably throw some 45-degree angles at the ends for joining this into a frame-like pattern. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and strip a full 8-foot piece of 2x4 in the exact same way. try and illustrate this now better than how I said it earlier, just so that you guys are picking up what I'm laying down here. So we got our old pencil markings from when I traced the original window. Alright, so that should be tight to the window frame. I don't want it super, I'll probably leave like 1/8 of an inch just for safety. But now we got our bevel piece. I'll be lining that up like so. Alright, so I'll have a full length measurement here and then cut in a 45. I'll have a full length measurement of this as well with a 45. And these two will join. So now this bevel will contact the window casing first. And since it's beveled, it should be able to get in far enough that by the time the width comes out to full and it seals the window, it should be lined up squarely enough that it won't rub and cause sticking or jamming. Alright, so that's the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'll take measurements of my old pencil marks here. And it's just a little bit below 2 feet. So what I'll probably do is 23 3/4. And that will give me a bit of wiggle room as far as the final fit. And I think that'll be quite sufficient. So already I have a square end here with the sticker still on. So I'll measure my 23 3/4. Mark that. Alright, square that. I'll be doing that on the miter saw anyways. And we're ready to make the first cut out of this window here. So let's see how this turns out. So here goes the first piece that we just marked. Since I'm at the miter saw as well, after I do the length cut, I'm going to do the 45s on either side as well, just so you know. So that's our first bevel 45. So you see there's the mark that I made, and that's exactly where the 45 begins and comes inwards. Okay, so we got our full outer length preserved with the 45 on the inside. So now I'll be making the 45 on this end, doing the same thing, making the blade come down right at the border of the outside edge. Alright, and I could actually take another little hair off of there. I'll just shimmy a smidge. And there we are. So that is our lengthwise piece for the window frame done. And that's going to mount up just like so. Alright, so that'll go on there like that, and that should give us a nice surface. So what I can do right now is, just because I want to test this as I go, I'll screw this one in place and then we'll continue on. So we'll get our Donkey Kong glue, put a generous bead of that on there. Get that down in place. giving it a little bit of leeway. Equal on both sides. I'll get some screws, and to try and keep that from moving, let's see, you guys should be able to notice, I'm actually going to screw this from the bottom up by letting this hang over the side a little bit. Now square it up again. And I'll do the same thing over on this end, and that should lock it in place. Like so. Alright, so now I'm going to repeat this process for 3 more sides, and then we'll have one completed window frame to try it out. With our second piece cut, we'll just do a little test fitment. We'll put it in along the line. So we're pretty good, except for this little bit here is sticking out extra. Not entirely sure why it ended up cut like that, but that's not going to bother me. I'll take the plane and go down over that, and that will square that up nicely. Alright, so now I'm going to do the main length here as well. We should pretty much do the same length as the other, but I want to double check because it hasn't been exactly symmetrical at times. Alright, so that's 24 exactly. So I'm going to do 23 3/4 again anyways, just to try and keep things squared up. And I'll go make that cut now. And here we have the third piece cut and done. Now strangely enough, I guess coming from the same board, maybe they ripped a little bit different in the table saw, but these match up perfectly on the corner, which is a bit odd compared to the other one. But that should be fine either way. We're still golden. Alright, so you see now how this is lining up into be a frame with a whole beveled section that'll fit into the window slot better. Okay, so then I'm going to squeeze some insulation down in this pocket here, and that'll give us a finished frame, and then I'll put a little bit of plywood over to seal it all in. Alright, so let's keep going. And here's the final piece for this one. It fits in pretty good. Some of these cuts could probably be a little more precise, but fitting together these 45s is not always to plan. Alright, so we'll put her in just like that. Alright, and now for an unrehearsed moment of truth. I have not tried to fit this in since we made it. So let's just go for straight up push in first. Alright, she was just upside down, that's all. So hopefully that that's not what we're looking for. She is jamming on the bottom there. I'm sure the sides are fine, but the bottom is not. Straight in is no problem, but coming out, is a problem. It seems like the bottom one is going to have to be a bit more of an aggressive angle to get rid of this bit in here. Alright, do a bit of brainstorming on this. So what I've decided to do first is to rip this thinner. Alright, now I got this full of glue, so I'm going to have to get that scraped off. So I get as much glue off this as I can so it doesn't gunk up my saw. This should be good enough. And I'll set this back to 0. I'll line this up to take off, you know, almost a half of it. We'll see. We'll see where it ends up. Alright, let's do this. we're most of the way through. We're just gonna run the same side, or run the other side as well, and that should come right off. And now we'll fit that back in place and we'll test it again. I'll probably take the skill saw or hand saw and just knock those edges off there. Those extra little bits sticking off. So now, of course, though, we're not going to get that seal that we wanted down there. You know, we might have to do without that. Otherwise, it's a very aggressive angle to try and get. You know what? This is kind of half by doing it this way. I'm going to start with a new piece, do a 45-degree angle, and see how that works out. Because I don't want to veer away from my idea just yet. So let's start with a new piece. That was 23 3/4, so I'll get a new piece going. Alright, so I made a 45-degree angle, but you know what? It's not going to make any difference because I still got this flat edge this high that's not going to want to slide out of the window box. So what I've decided is I'll probably carry on with the 20-degree, but I'm going to rip off the flat part. Alright, so the end of the 20-degree will be the size of the outside frame, but right away it will start beveling. So I'll strip all these off and I'm going to cut off this bottom flat edge. Alright, and that should ideally give me what I'm looking for. Alright, so I'll see if that works. That's it, you know, plans are made to be broken. It does really quick setting glue. Yeah. Glue is actually really good. See if I can manage to get that out of there now. Time for a screwdriver to pry that. So, lesson to everybody, Gorilla Glue is Actually really good. There, that was all just glue. Alright, so I'm going to rip this flat section off the mall, keep the 30 degree, or 20, I don't even remember anymore now, 20 I think it was, and we'll try it out again. Here we go, round 2. Let's see if this one works out a bit better. Dare we glue? Let's dare. Dare we? Let us dare indeed. Okay, so that's all lined up there. Let's pop in a couple of screws. So we definitely don't have the same thickness as we were dealing with earlier, but that's okay. So now we will flip that over and reuse the holes we already had done. Now, there we are, put together, a lot thinner, but I think we should have 1.5 inches there. We can put the blue rigid foam in instead of the pink. So let's check out the window now. Let's see if that worked. Whew, alright. Now, we're probably going to get this upside down again, are we? No? Okay. So now, there we are. Alright, so that looks good from the outside. Let's see what kind of a seal we have on the inside. So obviously it's not exactly what I had pictured it being. We're actually a little bit short over on this side. So I can probably move this one up a little bit. But yeah, other than that, it is what it is, I think, at this point. It's not terrible. It opens and closes properly. And we can fit a little bit of insulation there just to make ourselves happy. That'll have to be what it is. That window, hey? It definitely put a bit of a damper on the momentum just because we had to do so much troubleshooting. And as I said in the introduction of this episode, it's hard to make a plan and always get it to come out exactly how you picture it. So we definitely learned from that one that when you're putting in a frame style structure inside a closed window box, You really got to be aggressive with those angles right from the start if you want it to be able to swing in and out. So that first window, I actually went back after that view that we had on the inside there. I went back and I adjusted those outwards a little bit more and made it a tighter fit to the box. Actually, when we were inside, the window was upside down, so I actually had to turn it around and it lined everything up properly, and then I adjusted the struts on it again, or the frame pieces, and it worked out a lot better. So we got a lot more coverage in there now, and I might show you later. But we're going to carry forward now. We got the next window to do. We got the first one under our belts as far as learning process goes, and the rest should go better. All right, I won't say easy, but I'll say it should go better. So with that said, I'm just going to head on into it. I'm going to rip 2 more 2x4s because I think between the window and the main door, I'm probably going to need the equivalent of 2 more 2x4s. Because for that window, now I did a bit of troubleshooting on that one, and I used almost a full one in the process of getting that one right. So I think I'm safe in ripping 2 more, and that should give us enough wood for excuse me, should give us enough wood for another window and a door. Yeah, okay, let's get to it. And now we will see if the second indeed goes better than the first, which I think so. The cutting was definitely a lot faster. I'll line this up now and we'll have a look. Now actually I still got to strip off these bottom ends here. I'm just checking the fitment. So let's have a look at what we have. Alright, so let's start with some glue. Put in a little screw to hold that in place. Glue the final side. Line that up with the tracing line from before. And I'll repeat that with this side now. Free to put in the screws. more screw. And there we are. Ready to test number 2. So this time I'll make sure that the upside is up and the downside is down. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think, yeah, it'll be this way. Alright, and swinging motion is good. Excellent. So that's window number 2 done. Whew. Alright, so that took more time than I thought it would. But here they are. The windows are done. I guess now is time to work on either the chicken exit or the big door. I think we'll do the chicken exit first. So if you'll recall, with the chicken exit, we painted both sides by mistake. So I just went and retraced the inside. So we'll do off our measurements. Should be about 1 foot by 1 foot. Maybe. Oh, I forgot about the. I cut out the 2x4 footer in the entryway. So yeah, it's going to be 13.5 by 12. Yes, it is. All right, 13.5 by 12 seems to be. I could even do 13 and 1/4 there. Might have been off a little bit with my cutting around there. 13.25. Yeah, let's do 13.25 just to be sure, and 12. Alright, I'm going to make those cuts off camera and we'll be right back to try and fit that on there. Alright, this is all definitely going a lot faster after that first one. You know, that one that you got to do to get your strategy straightened out. Well, we had that one. We definitely paid our dues on that one. And at least here we are now. Getting into more assembly. So just lining everything up. Now that the cuts are all done, we'll have a look at it. Very nice. Alright, so let's get some glue. At least there was one thing we learned today, is that this Gorilla Glue is definitely strong and lives up to its brand name. So I could not pry that off earlier. I'm going to try this assembly a little bit different this time. I'm going to pop a screw in this right away. I don't think I would be much of a carpenter for making picture frames, but this is starting to turn out okay. I don't want to jinx it though. Alrighty, so we got that tacked in there. Now I'll finish tacking it in. I'll be honest, they did not turn out absolutely amazing compared to the first two. It just goes to show that practice does make perfect, because this is actually, other than one corner, everything else is, you could call it perfect. Very nice. So, now with that glue, I probably don't even need extra screws, but I'm going to anyways. Next item on the list is the rear clean-out door. So I got a couple of scraps here that I can do for the ends. And I just ripped another 2x4 off camera for because we got to do the door plus, like I say, this 4-foot long door for the clean-out. So this clean-out door alone is going to take up a full 2x4. And we could end up ripping another one yet, because we got the man door, which is 4 feet high as well. 2 sides to that, plus 2 feet at top and bottom. Is going to end up with another 1.5. So yeah, I'm going to keep the table saw cooking. We've already gone through one battery. I got the second one in there now. So I'm going to get measurements on these. I'll do that off camera. Come back for the assembly. We'll assemble the clean-out door now. We got all the cuts done. So far so good. Looks lovely. So I'll throw some glue and screws in that now. Now this clean-out door is probably going to be one of the most important doors in the coop. Let's make sure it goes on proper. Alright, so we may have to do a little bit of tidying up with this one. I'll have to find out where it's bringing up. It's probably just the extra caulking that I put in on this side. There's definitely something over on the right side there. But that's no problem. We'll get that sorted. And we'll be hunky-dory. After a quick appointment with a chisel, we're going to try this again real quick. We're close, but not quite. It fits, but it might be a bit too snug. So if I can find out where it's snug, we'd be in business. Definitely still over there on this side. I'll chisel another little bit away and we'll try it again. Alright, third time's the charm. And guess what? I already tried it before I started the camera. And it's good. Alright. So, I had to chisel a good little chunk out of the right side there, but anyways, we have a good door. It's a good bingo. Alright, so all the smaller doors and windows are done. It's just the main door to do now. And after we're finished that door, I think we're going to call it quits. Because I was all in after the first window. So this has all been a bonus to this point. So here is the main door. So this is going to eat up a good bit of 2x4. 23 3/4 for top and bottom, and 42 inches for both sides. I'll go and cut those and be right back. With all the cuts now finished, we'll get to assembly on the front door. So we'll get these laid out. We got all the doors and windows now finished. So I'm just going to go and put in the chicken side door here. And we just finished the main door. I haven't tried this yet, so I'm hoping for the best. I did put a lot of caulking in on the door sill, so that may give me a couple of issues. We'll find out right now. All right. So despite being cut out with the skill saw and having an 1/8 inch off of either side, it's still a fairly tight fit. So I could probably do with taking a little smidge off with the plane or something like that. Not a big amount. I think we added a bit back with the caulking and the paint. That's all. But that'll be a nice swing. It should fit in nice. There you go. Front door is done. Windows, clean out door, chicken entry door. Nesting box lid, I'm still brainstorming on that. That's a idea in progress yet. I'm thinking that I'm going to have probably, a few inches of plywood and then the lid itself, or a couple inches, right, just to cover it through there, because I'm thinking of having like a metal tin for the roof, and I'd probably want it for here as well. So I need that bit of buffer space for the lid to have room for that sheeting to fold up against the wall here. So that's why I'm thinking I'm going to have probably a couple inches of plywood spacer, then the lid, and I'm going to have to get some kind of rubber material to adhere to the wall, and then let it come down and cover that hinge area between the two pieces of plywood to keep water from infiltrating down into it. But that shouldn't be too bad, right? It's only put the rubber-like material on there and then put the tin on top of that, so that it'll just run down and run under the tin over the tar paper, and that'll be fine. So that's my brainstorm so far for the nesting box. Yeah, doors, windows are done, other than insulating them and putting plywood on them. But that's not happening today. I am all in. I'm spent. Alright, I don't even know, excuse me, I don't even know how many hours I've been out here now, between all the cutting off camera and pondering and problem solving and chiseling a couple of things, and anyways, I'm done for today. So on the next episode we will continue with the doors and windows. We should be able to trim them out and hang them, hopefully. That's optimistic, but I think it's realistic, right? Because we just gotta insulate and plywood the doors and windows, and that should just be a few cuts with the skill saw, nothing too crazy, and then we'll start the trim. Yeah, I think that'll be a big job all the same. We will see when the time comes and I have recuperated and rehydrated and re-energized and spent ample time lazing on my couch. But until next time, I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. Take care of each other, and peace out.